Hello and welcome. Once again, I am Bio, and today we have another topic of contention. I don't know how a lot of people feel about D3 Publisher, but I definitely have some feelings towards them. So, in all fairness, I'll be honest, I'll put my hands up. Some of them are good, and some of them are bad. You know, I'm not gonna completely and utterly throw D3 Publisher under the bus in this video. And you may go, oh, but what about that title? Again, calling them dense is not exactly a massive insult. It's not saying they have a lack of intelligence. It's not saying it's not saying a lot of things. It's just poor choices, or maybe I guess what would be the appropriate kind of alternate to dense? I don't know, incoherent? Oblivious? Probably oblivious over incoherent, but still. In this video, I'm going to be discussing D3 Publisher. That's the point of this video. I've wanted to talk about D3 Publisher for a long time. We've got some Simple 1500 series OST in the background there. So, and I've got quite a bit to say. I don't want to obviously make this video go any longer than the last one. I'm trying to stick to half an hour. If it goes over, it goes over, but I'm going to try and stick to that. So recently, I played some D3 Publisher games, more modern D3 Publisher games. And to be honest with you, I was shocked, to be honest. So I played quite a few. I played, let's go with like the first one, right? The most recent game that they released, Custom Mech Wars. Disappointing, to say the least. For what is effectively a £40 price tag, which I don't know, must be $50 in America, $50 price tag, for what is effectively speaking a game I'd expect most people to pay no more than $15 for, is beyond me. It really is. Like, basically, Custom Mech Wars is let's take, I guess, how the mechs control in the Earth Defense Force series and have it be its own game with loads of mech customization. But the mech customization, yeah, okay, it allows you to put parts wherever you want. It does allow, there's a lot of freedom with the customization. It's the best part of the game. But the problem is when you create a game where customization is the front and center, which I've got nothing against, you've got to make sure that that what you're putting that mech into, the actual gameplay of the game, that isn't customizing your mech, has got to be up to the same level of scratch. You know, it's got to be up to the same level. But it's not. It's very poor. It's incredibly basic, and the AI as well for the opponents is really bad. I was honestly quite shocked, to be completely honest. Very shocked with how poor Custom Mech Wars really was. So, you know, there's my experience with Custom Mech Wars. I didn't have a particularly good experience with it. I wouldn't recommend it to someone, especially with not that price tag. Maybe if it dropped down in sale to like $15, maybe then I'd recommend picking it up as like a budget title, because that's what it is. It is pretty much like a budget title, but they're charging $50 for it. It's like, what? What? Again, I might be wrong about $50. You have to understand, when I look at a game, because I'm from the UK, I only see what the game goes for in pounds, and normally it's a safe bet to tack on another tenner onto it for the dollar exchange rate, normally. So especially with how the exchange rate is generally nowadays. So generally speaking, with video games, if a game is being charged, if you're paying £50 for a game in the UK, it's $60 in America. It's a safe bet. So when I say that the game's £40 here, it's more than likely $50 in America. And do I think it's worth $50? You got to keep in mind that's $10 off of what would be a AAA game at that point. Why can't they just price video games to the quality of the video game anymore? I just don't get it personally. Like, who's paying like $40 for Troll Hunters, whatever, of Arcadia, right? Who's paying $40 for Ben 10 on the PS4. Who's paying $40? Obviously, that's obviously back in the day. Who's paying even $40 for Transformers Battlegrounds? Obviously, a bunch of outright games, video games. I'm just putting out there. Some of the ones I've played recently for the channel. That is obviously scheduled quite far into the future, but it's what I've played recently. And, you know, I picked them all up in a bundle. So it's, you know, it may be like 17 games for like 15 quid. So I can't really fault that. That's less than $1 per game. So I can't really fault that. But with something like Custom Mech Wars, very much so is it $15. Yeah, it should be priced at most $20. That's how it should be priced. But D3, I don't know. And that falls onto the problem of some of the other games I've played. You know, I played Onee Chanbara Origin, and I didn't really like it, considering I expected that it should have come a long way since the PlayStation 2 games. Keep in mind, I've only really played the 2 PlayStation 2 games, as well as Z2 Chaos. And I thought Z2 Chaos was okay. I didn't finish the game, but it was okay. Just to play Origin and be like, are we going backwards here? I don't know. And then I played Samurai Maiden, and Samurai Maiden might as well be an Onee Chanbara spin-off at that point. And I didn't really think much of that either. So it's like, okay, great. And again, these games they're charging like $50 for, brand new. I'm like, when they're at most $20, they're worth $20 at most. And I just don't get the business practice, right? It's been proven time and time again. If you price a game accordingly, it will make money. It will make the money if you price the game accordingly. Do you think Lethal Company on Steam would be so? I don't want to use this as an example, really, but would you think Lethal Company would have sold as well if it wasn't £8.50? If it was $20? I bet you it wouldn't. What was if Power World was $60? Do you think it would have sold as well? Probably wouldn't have made maybe 1 million consecutive players, but not 2 million. See, it's just, or maybe not even less than that. Price is a massive point of contention for most people that play video games. So you have to understand that at the end of the day, you need to price your games accordingly. If your game is worth $20, price it at $20. Oh, but we're not going to make any money off of that. Then why are you fucking putting that much effort into it? Screw the graphics, because that's normally the first point, right? Screw the graphics and focus on making a quality game. Kind of gone off on its own kind of thing here, but it's just I just want to make that point. I know I played. What was it? How else did I play? Schoolgirl Zombie Hunter SGZH, and that was just like basic. But then again, I know, you know, I picked that game up on Steam just because it looked funny, like back in like I don't know years ago for like I don't know $5 or something maybe at most. So, and would I say it's worth $5? Yeah, sure, I would. I would say if you're pushing it, maybe 15. Again, $15, no more than that. But I just don't get D3 making a lot of these games. Do they even sell well? Like, if I look at like the PC, I don't know. Is there a way for me to look online to see how well that particular game sold? Or if I'm being completely honest, I don't even bother looking because I kind of figure that D3 Publisher is just not going to let me look at that information. They're just going to be like, nah. You know, we're not going to let you look at that information. Because if I go on Steam, right? If I go on Steam and look at like D3 Publisher, right? If I put in Custom Mech Wars, right? Custom Mech Wars, they want $40 at the moment. Keep in mind, there's £25 worth of DLC on here. The Ultimate Edition of Custom Mech Wars is £61.99, which is what, $80 probably. I would say that's $80 more than likely. And it's just ridiculous. And you look at the review scores, mixed. I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. And it's the same story. The only series, as far as I can tell, that does well is Earth Defense Force for D3. And that's crazy. Because again, one of the games I played Earth Defense Force World Brothers, and it was okay. Is it £35.99 okay? No. For a game that came out back in 2021, they should reduce the price of that even further. $20. $20, I think that's worth it. And there's some other games you look on here and you think to yourself, like, price the games accordingly. Like Omega Labyrinth Life is 2019 it came out. They still want $50 for it unless it's on sale. Are you kidding me? They don't even want $50 for they don't even want $50 for Earth Defense Force 5. Do you know how much I paid for Earth Defense Force 5? $25. Would I say it's worth that? Hell yeah. I would say it's worth $30. Maybe even going a little bit higher than that. But it's just ridiculous. I played Edo Zombie Uprising, and I even bought the game. I even bought Edo Zombie Uprising because I liked how the game played. And I paid I bought it 50% off, £12.49. It's currently 50% off right now as I'm recording this video, funny enough. And would I say it's worth that? Yes, but in the end, I didn't finish the game because the story was boring and it just got real difficult for like no reason. Like the kind of, let's make the game really difficult so the player ends up investing more time than they need to invest in this. Because the game has like, I don't know, 10 missions. The game has like 10 missions, that's it. So it's like, obviously there's side missions, but still. So in the end, I got sick and tired of it. By the way, the ninja is the best character in that game. Because Sumo is just unusable in my opinion. Samurai's okay, it's balanced, but yeah, I ended up putting about 5 hours into Edo Zombie Uprising. And like I said, I enjoyed my time with it, but it was just... I don't know, I expected more. Considering it's a game that came out in early access, I expected more for what they're charging. $25 if it's not on sale. And yet I would say, I would honestly say that Edo Zombie Uprising is better as a game than something like Onee Chanbara Origin. And yet they want £46.49 for that game on Steam at the moment. And that game came out before Edo Zombie Uprising. I just don't get it. I just don't get these like more lesser known video game companies' price points for a lot of their games. I really don't get it. I really don't. It makes no sense to me. So, but I don't know. Sometimes I think it's also down to like poor design choices that they make in certain respects, because I remember with Onee Chanbara Origin, again, I just remind you, this is like a discussion video. With Onee Chanbara Origin, they purposely chose it to be more anime style, and I remember there was a lot of kind of like hit back from fans that they weren't particularly happy. It's like, why are you remaking it with anime style when they had no issue with the original graphics that the series had? So it's like, I just don't get it. It's like with Custom Mech Wars. Let's focus. Let's put 90% of the budget into the mech customization and 10% of the budget into how the game plays. Like the missions and whatnot, which were very, very bland. I do apologize for when those videos come out, by the way, because I recorded the PC footage with OBS and there's a little bit of stuttering here and there. But I fixed it now for future PC videos, but they obviously, how they come out is going to be varied. So, because now I'm recording with NVIDIA Shadowplay instead, which records better than OBS. For some reason, that records PC games better. I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, it's just I just don't understand that. And then there's one other thing, and this is for me the main point of this video, right? You can talk about their strange price points. You could also argue that's because now D3, if you don't know, D3 is now a subsidiary of Bandai Namco. So Bandai Namco pretty much holds most of the shares of D3. And you have to understand, D3 is a publishing company. They have like 25 employees or something like that, right? Can't remember the exact number, but it was in the 20s, right? So you also have to put that into consideration, that maybe Bandai Namco is affecting their how D3 Publisher prices their games. Maybe, right? But you can also look at the games that they've released recently and be like, come on, D3, what are you doing? Like, yeah, you want those games, right? So here you go. Now let's see you clear them. Probably never even heard of that one that came out this year. No, not this year, but last year. I forget it's 24 now, not 23. And that game's like $8.99, and I wouldn't even say it's worth $8.99. I'm not joking. It's like £3 at most, because it has like a couple of games and it gets boring with very, very quickly. So it's just really strange. And you have to also understand that D3 does a lot of visual novels. Visual novels, I imagine, probably do quite well, more than likely, in Japan. Not obviously, it's hit or miss over here, isn't it, for a lot of people with visual novels. But I just look at it and I just don't get it. Like, look at like D3, and what's D3's next big game? Earth Defense Force 6. That's it. That's all they got. And obviously people are looking forward to it, which I don't blame them, because, you know, the Earth Defense Force series is what I call dumb fun. But they haven't got anything else. Or have they? And this is the segue point I wanted to move into. Or have they? Now, if you're watching this video, I'd like to think that you have some kind of similar... Again, you're clicking on this because it's D3's publisher, right? At least I hope that's why you're clicking on it, because you're interested in D3 publisher discussion, whatever. I'm hoping you've heard of the Simple series. I'm hoping you've heard of the Simple series. I've got the music in the background, the Simple 1500 series, so I'm hoping you've heard of the Simple series. And the Simple series is basically, just to give you like a rough lowdown if you don't know, the Simple series is like a budget line of games that D3 used to do for the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and other systems. For the PlayStation 1, it was the Simple 1500 series. It had 104 volumes. For the PlayStation 2, they had the Simple 2000 series, which had 123 volumes, if I remember correctly. They also had the Ultimate series as on the PS2 as well, and they also had like the Jitsuo series and the Hello Kitty series on the PS1 and on the PS1. Hello Kitty series was also on the PS2 as well, whereas the Jitsuo series was only on the PS1. Jitsuo series was like educational games that they only came out in Japan, whereas with the 1500 series, we got some of the games. For example, you're hearing the soundtrack to Volume 32, The Boxing, at the moment. And that game got released outside of Japan as Boxing, I believe, or Pro Boxing or something, All-Star Boxing. I can't remember what it is, the other titles that came out in America and Europe. And it's a fun little game. It's not worth any more than $5. Don't get me wrong. If you were going to actually pay for it nowadays, but it's a fun little game. And that's what I don't understand. Why isn't D3 funding like a modern Simple series game? Why aren't they funding indie developers in Japan like they used to, because that's what a lot of the Simple series was, right? Indie, pretty much back then, what you would consider indie developers making, because some of the games were made by one person. But you didn't realize that. But why aren't they making a new modern Simple series? Why aren't they doing a new boxing game that has a similar kind of like chibi kind of art style that the original boxing game had? And it's just dumb fun. Why don't they work on the basis of just dumb fun? And this is one of the points I wanted to make today, and it's the main reason why I consider D3 Publisher to be dense, because they are underutilizing their Simple series, right? Completely underutilizing it. I just don't understand why there is no modern Simple series. And you may argue, you probably got a point to argue against that, but we'll get to that. Don't worry. I am aware that there is a somewhat Simple series on the Switch. I am aware, right? I'm going to talk about it, but just not yet. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about a proper modern Simple series where they can just release it. Hey, get it released on PC first, so that you can release it in early access and have them work on the game. But when you release it on early access, have it be a $5, no more than that. And when the game comes out, yeah, okay, maybe then you could bump it up to a little bit higher. Don't give it a number to it. It was called the Simple 1500 series because each game was 1500 yen. Don't have it. Just call it the Simple D series, Simple D3 series, or something like anything. You can call it whatever the hell you like. But have it, like I said, be on PC in early access. Let them work on the game. Then when it comes out, boom. Or what about home consoles then? You can release them in packs. That's what you could do. The Simple D3 series combo pack, featuring the boxing, the shooting, the dungeon RPG. There you go. Something like that. Again, you've got Bandai Namco backing you now. I'm pretty sure if you put that idea in their ballpark, they would actually probably say, actually, that sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. Let's give it a go. Now, let's talk about the Simple Switch series, as I call it. I've done videos on it on the channel. Maybe I'll throw up some footage of it in this video, maybe. Right? The Simple Switch series is basically a bunch of Simple Series games. They're not called Simple Series, though, but they have the same capitalization of "the" in English. And there's a few of them. And I've played them. I've played quite a few of them. You've got the Table Game Deluxe Pack, for example, right? You've got the Card Perfect Collection Plus. You've got they even like re-released a old school Simple Series game, the Bass Fishing. Funny enough, the Trump Perfect Collection featuring Klondike, Free Cell, Spider Solitaire, blah blah blah. And there's also the Mahjong, for example. My favorite Mahjong game I've ever played is the Simple Switch Series Volume 1, the Mahjong, on the Switch. Now, you may be going, okay, well, where are you leading with this, right? You've come and you recognize that it exists. My point is that they're Switch exclusives. That's my point. Now, you also might have a different point of contention. But let me finish my point. When they first came out, they were Switch exclusives. Only on the Switch. It's only within the last year that D3 has thought, hey, you know what? It might be a good idea to release the Table Game Deluxe Pack on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, and PS5. And even then, they've only done the Table Game Deluxe Pack. They've only done the Card Perfect Collection Plus. And I'm sitting here like, thinking to myself, why aren't they releasing them on PC? You do realize that the market for these type of games on PC is non-existent, meaning there's no real games like that, meaning they'll do well on PC Steam, for example, right? And you may be like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, the table game has a lot of different, like the table game has a lot of different games. Let me just go over some of the games that the table game has. It has Mahjong. Well, yeah, we have Mahjong on Steam. There's Mahjong Nagumi. It's a good game. I play a lot of it. I've got 50 hours in it. But still, it's only 4-player Mahjong. The Table Game Deluxe Pack has 2-player Mahjong and 3-player Mahjong. It has Go, it has Shogi, it has Othello, it has various card games, it has Hanafuda, it has chess, it has backgammon. There isn't really anything like that on Steam that has all these board games, these table games, in one package. And the same could be said about the Card Perfect Collection Plus. Texas Hold'em, Solitaire, and other card games as well. Probably has like 7s and hearts and 8s and whatever. All in one package. For a reasonable price of, like, let's say $15. People would eat that shit up. And what I'm saying is why don't they make more like that? Like I said, games like this are great. The Table Game Deluxe Pack, great. The Card Perfect Collection Plus, great. But I can tell you that they're charging quite a more than what I would expect them to charge for it. But I don't understand why. Let's release them all on, all on home consoles, but we won't release them on PC, which will probably do really, really well. Because on home consoles, I kind of hit or miss, or whether or not those kind of games are going to do okay. Switch, I understand why they'll do well, but those on PS4, PS5, I would like to see the sales numbers for them, personally, within the last year, considering they came out Table Game Deluxe Pack came out on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, 1st of January. Oh no, the 26th of January 2023. I would love to see the sales numbers. Show me them. I'd love to see them. Because I guarantee you it ain't going to be good. I can see it now. So my point with that, with the old Simple series, is my main point in contention is why was it exclusively on the Switch to begin with? And why is it only now that they're bringing it onto other kit systems? And they're only doing, like, these games. They're not doing, like I said, the bass fishing game. They're not doing the card battle, Eternal Destiny. They're not doing the casino, which, you know, you could say that's fair enough in that regard. But, you know, there's others. There's the variety game Dashugo and the Taikan Sports Pack, which the individual games got released outside Japan, but the actual collection was a Japanese exclusive physical release, which I actually own physically. What about Fungi Puzzle, Fungi Explosion? There's loads that are just soft-locked onto the Switch, right? And I'm just like, why? They probably don't sell well either. And I'm like, well, just release them on other systems. But include PC. You just like PC, don't you? You just want them on PC. I want them on PC because I want D3 to make money. That's what I want. I want them to make money. And they will make money releasing them on PC. People will play them. People will 100% play them. So, I thought D3 in the past was quite competent with how they did things. They wouldn't have continued making the Simple Series games if they didn't sell reasonably well back then. I just don't understand why now they're just immensely limiting themselves when it comes to the Simple Series, where they could very much run a kind of workshop with Japanese developers, even include some Western indie developers as well, and making some cool experimental style games. And I just don't get it. I just don't understand. As I said, we're going, like, they could just, if they don't know what ideas to do, just look at the Simple 1500 series. Look what did well, what sold well, what was reviewed well, and just go with those things. The boxing, I think, is a pretty decent game. Go with that. Shooter Space Shot, or, you know, the shooting as it's called in Japan. That's a decent game. Quite funny. You know, the FMV sequences are quite funny. Something like that, which is like a scrolling, like a R-type kind of game, scrolling shooter. There's like loads of different types of games you can make. I just don't understand why they didn't put in their time into it. Like I said, I personally think D3 was fairly competent back in the day, but now it's just all gone to shit. You could argue, like, so many weird decisions they've made. How about releasing pretty much all of the old Earth Defense Force games on the Switch exclusively, but only in Japan? That's weird. That's strange. You're telling me that there's nobody that would want to play, like, they like, for example, right, Earth Defense Force 2017 is a game that came out back on the Xbox 360 back in, like, 2006 for Japan, 2007 for America and Europe. And yeah, you know, it's got a 69 Metacritic, nice. But you're telling, and they released it back in 2021, re-released it on the Switch, exclusively in Japan. You telling me there's no one in the West that would have been interested in playing that? Are you telling me? Just weird decisions. In the last, like, 5+ years, they've made just really weird decisions, in my opinion. That is just hampering, and just, they're, like, I don't know, it's just hampering what could be potential sales. I just don't get it. I just don't understand it, to be completely honest. So, the point I'm trying to make is, like, they should definitely remake the Simple series, re-release this. You can even re-release. Why don't you re-release some of the older games? That's another option they could do. Do collection, Simple 1500 series, Mega Collection, Volume 1, featuring the first 20 games. People would buy that shit up. I'm telling you, they would. Ah, dear. And if you're wondering, like, why do I want games like the Table Game Pack on Steam and that? It's that there's no decent card emulator on Steam. Okay, yeah, there's Tabletop Simulator. But Tabletop Simulator requires you to do everything. Everything. From what I remember. I have been a long time since I played Tabletop Simulator. Tried playing Mahjong on it, and god damn, that was painful. You can get away with playing a few, like, card games, and it's not that bad. But, you know, it's like saying, would you rather play Uno on Tabletop Simulator or on the actual Uno game? I would rather pick the actual Uno game any day of the week because it's automatic. It's all set up already for it. So my point is there's no real kind of, let's say on Steam, for example, that I can easily play with a friend, card games or something, that's got nice graphics and looks nice, that isn't a fucking web browser. So, I just think it's a lost opportunity on D3, right? I can see we're coming up to the half an hour mark now, so I think I've made my point. Quite rambly, quite ranty, but that's what these videos are like at the end of the day, and that's what they're going to be like. So, I have bullet points and things I want to address. It's unscripted completely, and yeah, that's just how these videos are going to be like. But my personal opinion is with D3 is that they are dense. There's lost opportunities there. But they're not lost forever. They can go find them. With doing things like remakes for the Simple series, re-releasing the Simple series, which might in turn give them ideas like, oh look, this particular like new Simple series game did really fucking well, sold unbelievably well. Now we've got a new series we can add to our repertoire. We ain't just Earth Defense Force and Onee Chanbara. We've now got this as well. You see my point? But anyway, I'm gonna close this video with a closing question for you. I'm gonna love to hear your response in the comments of basically your answer to this question. Would you play new Simple series games, whether through indie developers or from old remakes or re-releases of the Simple 1500-2000 series? Let me know. What would you prefer? If you're the consumer at the end of the day, what would you prefer? What would you prefer? Would you prefer completely brand new Simple series games made with indie developers through some kind of program that D3 is running, or would you have D3 just remake or re-release some of their old school Simple 1500 series games, Simple series games, or both? Let me know in the comments. I hope you've, I don't know, enjoyed the video. I don't know what's to enjoy about this. It's more just discussion than anything. It's definitely going to be people that are going to disagree. You just wait until I talk about Pokemon, goddamn. But anyway, I've been Bio. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.